Welcome, everyone, to My English Diary. Today, we're jumping right into a brand new explainer on a topic that has, quite honestly, haunted language learners for years. We're talking about English prepositions. And our goal today is simple. We are going to completely replace that frustrating, mind-numbing rote memorization with intuitive, native-like visualization. Let's get into it. Seriously, why do these tiny little words cause so much pain? If you've ever found yourself staring blankly at an endless grammar handout, desperately trying to memorize rules and a million exceptions, you are definitely not alone. But here's the secret. Native speakers, they don't memorize lists, they visualize. And today, I promise you, by visualizing these words, we are going to end the confusion once and for all. Section 1. Visualizing space and time. So let's kick things off with the core definition of the word on. It really just means physical contact or touching a surface. Think of a fly stuck right on a wall. It's in direct physical contact, right? Well, this exact same visual rule flawlessly applies to time. When a date is exactly attached to the calendar, like November 19th or Christmas Day, it's a specific attached point of contact. That's exactly why we naturally say on November 19th or on Christmas Day. Okay, moving to in. The crucial point here is the idea of being inside a frame or a boundary. If you're inside a room, you're visually in it. Now apply that to time. Think of framed blocks. A week has a rigid boundary of 7 days. A month, a season, a year. They all have defined start and end points that basically create a box. And that is why we say in a week, in January, in spring, or in 2025. It's not some random grammar rule you have to memorize. It's perfectly geometric. And that brings us to our next shape, which is at. At is just a precise dot. On a clock, 6 o'clock is an exact dot in time, so we say at 6 o'clock. But at is also incredibly useful when a boundary isn't clearly defined. Take the phrase at night. When exactly does night start? It's kind of ambiguous, right? It's different for everyone, so there's no clear frame or box for you to be in. Or think about being at the hospital. You might not actually be inside the physical building itself. You're just pinning that general dot on a map. Mapping these visual concepts to time creates this really beautiful, perfect hierarchy. On is an exact day touching the calendar surface. In is a framed period you can literally step inside. And at is a pinned time or an ambiguous dot on the radar. If you just keep this visual hierarchy in your mind, you can literally throw away those massive grammar textbooks. Section 2. Destination versus effort. Now, here's a classic everyday struggle. Think about the sentence, I gave a cake to him. Here, to is basically just a simple arrow. It's a mere delivery or a destination. The cake arrives. Boom. Done. But what about I made a cake for him? Now, for implies putting an effort on someone else's behalf. You did the hard work of baking, so they didn't have to, which grants them a benefit. It's a complete transfer of effort and care. And you know what? This exact same logic applies perfectly when we use adjectives. Drinking water is good for your body. Why? Because for provides a practical, universal, tangible benefit. But if something touches your heart deeply, like the support of a loved one, it's meaningful to me. To indicates a very personal, emotional direction that points straight into your feelings. Section 3. The magic container. Okay, we need to completely discard the traditional translation that of always means belonging to. Just toss it out. Instead, use this secret visual formula. A of B simply means you have a container, A, that is completely filled with the contents of B. Keep this physical container image firmly in your head. A is the box, and B is what's inside it. Let's rapid fire apply this so you can see what I mean. A cup of coffee, the cup is the container filled with coffee. A book of poems, the book is a container filled with poems. Simple, right? But what about something totally abstract, like dying of cancer? Well, the container of death is filled with cancer. Or how about the phrase, I'm sick of you? Your container of sickness and frustration is completely filled with that person. Suddenly, all these weird abstract idioms make perfect visual sense. Section 4. The equal sign. The word as has way too many dictionary definitions, but the only image you ever actually need for as is two overlapping situations. It is the perfect equal sign. It just means placing a situation on the left side and perfectly overlapping it with a situation on the right side. They are happening together, simultaneously. So you might be wondering, why do native speakers choose as instead of because if they can both mean reason? Well, because is a heavy, direct arrow pointing to a strict cause, but as creates a lightweight, simultaneous background feeling. It's kind of like saying, hey, it's raining, and perfectly overlapping with that reality, I thought of you. It's soft, natural, and atmospheric. It's not a forceful cause and effect. Let's see this equal sign in action. As I got older, I became more patient. Just look at how as perfectly captures these two situations turning together, literally like synchronized gears. The passing of age on the left side perfectly equals the growth of patience on the right side. You're visually equating the two processes exactly as they happen in real time. Section 5. The MBTI trick for prepositions. I absolutely love this next trick. I gotta ask, are you an F for feeling or a T for thinking in your MBTI personality type? Do you focus on people's emotions and their core character, or do you focus more on the cold logic and the objective situation? Keep your answer in mind right now because this sets up the ultimate preposition hack. Here's the hack. Of is totally your F personality. It focuses intensely on the person, their character, and their feelings. For, on the other hand, is your T personality. It evaluates the cold logic, the strategy, and the practical outcome of the situation itself. Watch how this changes absolutely everything. If you say, it was smart of you, you're acting like an F. You're praising the person's inherent character. You're basically saying they are a smart person at their core. But if you say, it was smart for you, you're acting like a T. You are just noting the strategic advantage of the situation. It means, hey, that was a really smart move to make in that specific scenario. It's the exact same adjective, but a completely different visual focus. So the takeaway here is that getting your prepositions right carries immense emotional weight, and it totally changes the vibe of your sentence. If you tell someone, you are precious for me, you're essentially telling them they're practically useful to your life, like a really good tool. That is a very cold T statement. But if you say, you are precious to me, that emotional arrow points straight from your heart to theirs. It means they hold true emotional value. We've covered a lot today, but the biggest thing to remember is this. You have to stop memorizing endless textbook lists and start visualizing the geometry of language. Thank you so much for joining MY English Diary for this explainer. I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought. The next time you speak tomorrow, will you be desperately searching your brain for a rigid grammar rule, or will you be painting a vibrant, accurate picture with your words? See you next time.